Hello guys, great to have you here today. I'm Lucas and I think you've already met my companion somewhere over here. Together we travel back in time to take a closer look at historical fundamentals. And this is actually your lucky day, because we're just about to take off in a couple of minutes. And you guys will be my guests. But before you are ready to enter this experience, there are a few things you need to know so you don't get caught in the past or end up, as an experimental subject. To start off, do you have any idea where you're standing right now? That's what I thought. Let me take you back to the Cold War, a war between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was called Cold War because it was without any large-scale fighting, only threats going back and forwards and back and forwards. The tension had reached its highest point during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, where the whole world was shivering about the uncertainty if there was going to be a nuclear warfare or not. With the increasing threat level, more and more shelter spots started to pop up every day. Tilburg followed in 1969 with their own bunker under the Simon Building. Bunk beds, canned food, graduation suits, cell phones, etc. The place has been ready until the end of the Cold War in 1991 for the major, his wife and his staff to hide underground for weeks. It was only recently, in 2012, where the whole bunker was stripped down from its facilities. Besides police practice, it has not yet found a new function. Today, this bunker will be our own psychology dungeon, which lays right underneath our own department of psychology, located in Simon Building. Let's take a look at the very beginning of the science of psychology. Psychology is the scientific studies of the human mind, behavior and its functions. It's not a new science. The first modern writing, and what some argue is the start of psychology, dates back to 1649. In this year, René Descartes wrote his thoughts on how mind and body interact in a book called Treatise on the Passions of the Soul. It contained, among other things, ideas on where the soul is located in your brain. Later on, scientists wanted to be even more precise in exactly locating specific behaviors and cognitions. One of the most famous psychologists working in this field was Franz Joseph Gall with his phrenology. He stated that we should be able to make assumptions about a person's character by looking at the surface of a person's skull. With a specific bump on a certain place, you should be able to be a gifted language speaker. On the other hand, believers also assumed that they were able to predict if someone had a murder instinct. You can imagine the impact of these kind of studies. People were depicted as a murderer without even having to act like it. These kind of theories are nowadays rejected, because we know, thanks to a lot of experiments, that mental processes are way more complex to explain than only by localization. Thank God, because experiments around these kind of theories weren't always that kind for participants. Some of the earliest roots of psychology as we know it today that we still reflect on lay in our own city of Tilburg, where Franciscus Cornelis Donders was born in 1818. He devoted his life, among others, to the research about differences in human reaction time to infer differences in cognitive processing. This concept is now one of the central tenets of cognitive psychology. This is a study of mental processes such as attention, language use, memory, perception, problem solving, creativity and thinking. Together with stunning experiments like the Milgram experiment, Stanford Prison experiment, Little Albert experiment, Monster study and thousands of other experiments, we've learned a lot about psychology. But also met a whole new aspect of psychological research: ethics. Nowadays, the safety of participants should be maintained at all time. Every possible damaging effect for participants should be taken out of scientific research. Regardless the dark side of some experiments in the past, It is still an essential time period to reflect upon, because besides the scientific knowledge, it has also brought us the bright foundations of ethics in psychology. But I've been talking way too much already. I suggest we proceed to the psychology dungeons, where we're going to experiment some of this complex history ourselves. By the way, my companion is a bit, let's say, shy. So be nice, because it will be your guide during the whole trip. I expect you guys to always stick to the guide, because I don't want to get any of you lost in the dungeons. Anyway, hold on while I'm taking you back to the 19th century, where we're going to meet some of the great pioneers in phrenology.